Hello again, everyone. It's CAZ BIELEN. You're watching Casual Conversations, or you're listening to Casual Conversations, an audio podcast on Spotify, on Apple, everywhere else. And what's cool is this is a program where we feature people who are so important to our world. Our very special guest today is Larry DiGREGORIO, and he is well, why don't you tell me who you are about yourself first, and we'll get into all the cool stuff you do afterwards. Larry, hi, welcome.
Good morning. How are you? I am a retired police officer. I did 22 years of service, the last 4 as a detective. And then after that, I became a professional comedian, which is what I've been doing for the last 7 years.
Wow, professional comedian. So going from a police officer to a professional comedian, was that easy? Was that difficult? How'd you come about doing that?
It was actually it just happened, which is what's so cool about it. It was a contest in Orange County, where I'm from, for the funniest first responder in the Hudson Valley. And a couple guys I work with and teach with, I teach the police academy. They said, "Oh, you should enter. You're funny." And I'm like, "I don't know if I want." And then it was about a week out before the contest, and the guy running said, "I only have 5 guys entered. Please enter so I could have 6 guys." So I entered. And again, I like comedy. I like to laugh, and I like to eat also, but another thing, which you could tell. But so
But look, there you are. There's the award right there. I dug it up. Our crack staff dug it up. There it is. And you should be so proud of that award, because it kind of puts you on the map of being a cop, police officer, and a comedian, correct?
That's it. I was the funniest first responder in the Hudson Valley, and my kids were there, and my wife, and it's a proud moment. I didn't think life could get really much better. It was really, It was almost surreal. You know, I was 40, in my late 40s at the time, and never aspired to be a comedian. I actually wanted to be a chef earlier on in life, which would have worked because fat chef is good, fat cop was a problem, but I made it through. And
yeah, there you are in action. There's a picture of you with your fan club over there watching you. What do you remember where that was?
That was actually at a little club in the city of Newburgh.
City of Newburgh. Yeah, I've been there. It's a cool place. Kind of takes a distance to get there because I'm out in Jersey, so it takes a while to get to Newburgh. But it's very nice out there. Nice country and everything. Let's play a little clip of you, you in action from the Late Night with Johnny P program. This is way back. We still look the same. I don't know when it is. You'll tell, but this is what it's like if you go to a show and you see Larry on stage. So let's check this out.
Not good, folks. It's not easy. Being big, you got to know your limitations. Like corduroy, out of the question. I stroll across the stage, I'm going to burst into flames. It ain't easy. It's really not. Doc, he says to me, "I would like you to go on a diet." So I went to Jenny Craig. They wanted to charge me a group rate. I went to Weight Watchers. The lady said, "Sir, we figure your points according to your height and weight." And she's adding, and she's adding, and she's adding. And she looks up and she said, "Sir, you get more points than a college basketball game." I said, "This ain't fair." It's not easy. I just finished a 3-week diet. I lost 21 days.
Lost 21 days. So
that's it.
Larry, when you're out there I mean, can you go back in time a little bit and was it a hard transition to get into the comedy and dealing with people looking at you and laughing at you? And, how was that experience like?
No, it was the hardest part for me was introducing myself as a comedian, because my whole life I was a police officer, and it takes a while for it to sink in. And after I did a few bigger shows at like Parks Casino or Resorts World or Turn and Stone Casinos, it really sunk in that this is what I'm doing. And just winning the contest was cool, but it was kind of a Cinderella story, because one of the comedian that ran it, a professional comedian, John Mulrooney, he, in the 80s, had his own TV show in L.A. I mean, he was on Hollywood Squares half a dozen times. And he called me and he said, "Dude, you're a natural." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "I got a show in 2 weeks. I want you to open." I'm like, "What do you mean open?" He said, "Show up, do the 8 minutes you just did, and we'll go from there." So I show up at a room up near Albany, and there's 150 people in the room. I get on stage, I did my 8 minutes. And he said to me, "Dude, not only you're funny," he goes, "but you got nerve." He goes, "You just didn't even care. You went up there." I go, "Well, what's going to happen? If I fail at something that I'm not really doing, it is what it is."
No, that's a great attitude. A lot of people are afraid to get out of their comfort zone or their little box, go out there and do that. I remember, it's not that easy in the beginning, unless you're kind of natural, but you're always in front of people anyways, the police officer, and everything's different experiences. Well, I was just thinking, did anybody think like maybe you're like an undercover cop, kind of, as a comedian, in a club? Did anybody ever accuse you of doing that?
No, I mean, certain people, I mean, I guess I portray cop. I do. It was my lifestyle for so long. And if police officer, you're friends with any of your family, it is a whole different. The best thing I heard for police work is it's a subculture within a culture. And it truly is.
Yeah, it truly is. You can connect with Larry on Facebook. Just look him up, and on Instagram, I believe. Right? Anywhere else that people hook up with you?
I also am with Funny for Funds, as it says above my photo there, which is a fundraising organization that they raised over $7 million collectively with fundraisers for any organization, group, or person in need. It's really a good program.
Oh, it really is. In fact, our crack staff, Larry, dug up this video, which you guys produced, which shows people exactly what Funny for Funds is all about. So let's check that out. It's a 1-minute break. We'll be right back in exactly 1 minute. Don't go away. All right. Whether you're listening or watching, this is it. By the way, if you listen on the audio, you can check out the videos, the link on YouTube and other places as well. And you can see how handsome Larry and I look like in case you're listening. So, by the way, all right. So let's check out all about Funny for Funds.
Are you looking for a way to raise money for your group or cause? Then Funny for Funds is the answer. Funny for Funds provides a comedy night fundraising experience unlike anything out there. Go to funnyforfunds.com to book your event. Once you do, we'll provide you with a 90-minute stand-up comedy show with 3 comedians, electronic flyer, Facebook invite page, online ticket sales, raffle and 50/50 tickets, sound, stage, lights, and we'll even MC the raffles and live auction. We also provide a wildly popular pep rally to show our patented and time-tested methods to maximize your fundraiser. Our method has been developed over the course of 600 highly successful shows. We've helped raise millions for a variety of groups and causes. Let us do the same for yours. Visit funnyforfunds.com. That's funnyforfunds.com. And laugh all the way to the bank.
Funnyforfunds.com. That is great. And so share some experiences with that, when you're involved with that. Who are the beneficiaries of this? Can anyone do it? Just like if I'm having a party and invite you guys over and do this, tell me about that.
Pretty much anyone. We did a firehouse about 3 months ago. They wanted to raise money. They had a capital project. They wanted to put a pavilion up in one of their fields. We did a one-night show. We raised over $5,000 for them. Wow. Recently, in one of the neighboring towns, a sad incident. A police officer got killed off duty. Young guy, only 3 years on, 2 kids. And so I felt I wanted to do something. So I reached out to 2 other comedians, and we actually donated our time, and we did a Funny for Funds fundraiser, and we raised over $7,000 for the family in a one-night show. And the nice part too, if it's a school organization or a team, everybody's tired of selling wrapping paper and discount cards and tchotchkes you don't need. So everyone gets together for a night of laughter. And part of my theory too is if you could eat with someone and laugh with someone, you've now made friends. And so it's really cool. It's really a great way to get out there. I'm a people person and a food person.
Oh boy. Share with me some what kind of feedback do you get when you're done with the show? Do people come up to you, they ask you for advice, or because of you went from what you do as police officer to making people laugh? And police officers can make people laugh, make them feel better. They're also there in more stressful moments in people's lives. But after a show, what kind of feedback do you get from your audiences?
The feedback has been great, I have to say. It's really crazy. And, you have to gauge the room. Some rooms, depending upon where they are and what the clientele is, they don't even know I knew a cop, let alone I was one. You'd look to make it out. And then other rooms, like if I'm doing a police event, a steak baker, or a police charity, then I go into the police material in my background. So again, it's like anything in life. You have to walk into the room and assess the situation and go from there. It's just, and I'm not going to go in light of the current comedic situation with what happened at the awards the other night, which is just insanity. From a comedian standpoint, that's a little scary because people sometimes, it's comedy, and you have to, if you're going to a show, I say this all the time. I do a room that's right next door to a church. And I say, hey, if you want to hear the gospel according to Luke, go next door. Otherwise, you're going to hear what you're going to hear in this room. Yeah. And it's true. It's comedy. You have to get a thick skin or sit in the back of the room. It is what it is.
Well, I mean, for comedy, I think to be successful, you have to feel the room. You have to get some information. You have to know who the audience is sometimes. If it's youngsters, obviously you can't, do certain material. But, so what do you go through when someone decides to bring you in to do a comedy show? Tell me the process that you go through that. So, I said, Larry, would like to have you. We have a big night event for a private group. What do you need?
I try to gauge, what's going on, like what the organization is, where it is. People appreciate if you put, I was a detective the last 4, so doing a little homework isn't hard for me. So I will look at the demographics of the area and what the makeup is and what the actual neighborhood is. I just did a show. It's funny you say that. I was in Danbury, Connecticut. And Danbury, Connecticut is the home of the Railway Museum. And now, just that, the way I say it, it's a railway museum. And I said it on stage. What are you going to see? Oh, a train. Oh, look, another train. Oh, another train. Oh, there's a caboose. Like, I'm not a trained person. So for me, and the majority of the crowd there wasn't trained people, it worked very well and was funny. And I think they appreciate the fact that I took a minute or two to look and see what their area is about and what they have to offer.
No, that's nice. I think it makes an impact, and because I've seen a lot of comedians who do basically the same act, but what makes a difference is they ask what the area's about, like you said, any specific people, any cliques those people have, and then when you do that, I think it's funnier if you're like inside humor. They're like an out-of-town comedian, but you're like, how did he know all this stuff about CAZ? Like, he just came in because it just brings everybody together. Because the only way I think biggest laughs are if you can feel what they're talking about, certain things in the act. Otherwise it's a package act come in, and if they never heard it before, it's gonna be funny. But there's got to be moments where they connect with you, and they're like, oh, okay. So like you said, he actually took the effort to look around what's here. Not just be driven in at night. Get in a room to actually get out to the next show. And it connects. If you say, hey, like to think Joe the bartender or whatever, people know Joe, like who's the funniest guy that's always here that people know about, what's he known for, and things like that make a connection, right?
I like to look. One thing I do too is I like to get there early, and I'll check out the area and find the most downtrodden motel or hotel. And then say, hey, I'm staying tonight at ABC Motor Inn, and everyone's face gets like, oh, I go, yeah, it was kind of weird when I went in and asked the clerk. I said, I want a room for the night, and he said, the whole night, which is fun, and they roar at that because everyone knows that the hotel has a reputation for whatever it has, and it's not for people staying overnight normally. And it's it's the little things I think that make it funny. Like you said, you have your material, and people will come in and be like, oh, I saw you did a lot of the same stuff. And I said, well, did you ever go see a band play, a music band? Do they play different songs every night? No, this is my act. It's my set, my material. But as things happen in the room, that's where it gets funnier. And again, I could talk forever, but the other night, it was too funny in Danbury again. There was an older woman, and I say older, she was in her 80s probably, sitting in her walker, and she fell asleep while I was performing. And I've never in my 7 years of doing this have had this happen. Well, it just caught me funny, and I started laughing. And then I called her out on it. And, laughter's contagious. And the people near her, of course, were elbowing each other that, look, oh, my God, she's sleeping. And then when I called it out, it just took on its own life. And it was probably about 8 minutes of hysterical laughter by myself and the crowd. And, not being mean. When she woke up, I told her good morning. So it was fun. It was all, kind-hearted and fun-spirited. But it's just, that's what makes it, I think, is being spontaneous. And again, like you said, being a police officer, you go into the worst situation, and within seconds or minutes, you have to resolve it, quell the disturbance, resolve it as best you can, and move on. And so it's same thing. And I'm an adrenaline junkie. Going in a closet and find that unopened pack of Oreos is fun, but it's not the same as stopping a car or kicking the door down. So now when I get on stage, I get that rush again.
Good connection there. Good connection. No, I understand. It's comedians. Have certain jokes and things that work. There's been past ones. Yours is looks like it ain't easy, and some have never got a dinner. If you research comedians in the past, they have different lines and everything. And I remember someone said to a comedian, why do you do the same things? And they said basically, you have their set, it's successful. Why mess with success? Just take those couple little pieces and adapt it to make it local. It works. It's funny. People have a good time. Why suddenly experiment with things? You can add little things along the way, I would think, but to experiment suddenly with a new show, unless you want to just tell them it's a test, then it's the stuff I've done before to set it up. But you always have that, I guess, you're going to fall back on. But I think that's one of the secrets of success of a good comedian. But adapting to the audience is, I think, the biggest key, because if you can adapt to that, if it's, have you had ever an audience that just wasn't there with you for a while?
Sometimes, again, it's exactly what you said. I did a room and I wasn't thinking, and it was a real older crowd. We were up in Boston, and it was a retirement community. And I do a set about dirty underwear. And then in hindsight, most of them experienced that on a daily basis and not by choice. And it just set the ground for it's going to be bad. And so I did a short set and turned the mic over to the next guy. But in hindsight, I should have assessed the room a little better and not gone that route, right off the bat, because they just immediately hated me because, it all depends and they're wearing them. And
That's true. That's true. You're listening or you're watching CAZ Bielen with Casual Conversations, and our very special guest, important to the world, is Larry DiGregorio, a cop and a comedian. I always feel funny. I guess going back to where I was growing up, police officer to me is like a proper name for, instead of cop. I know cop and comedian works because people know that, but I just think police officer is, how have you seen, I don't know if we asked that question earlier about people's reaction when they actually discover that you are a police officer, and now a comedian. Do you have kids coming up to you and kind of asking you about questions? That question?
Oh, definitely. And a lot of people don't believe I was ever a police officer because I'm pretty mellow and laid back, and some of my act isn't the cleanest in the world. And it's funny. And you talk about cop. I don't know if you know, again, I'm all into I want to know why. Being a cop, I'm very inquiring. Well, the word cop, I don't know if you know that. Initially, when I'm told, it comes from constable on patrol. Because when a police officer was out, they would hang the sign that said cop, which meant constable on patrol. And that's why they call them cops.
Oh, see, so
it's not a bad,
yeah, it's just, these days, with social media and everything, that kind of thing, the cops are coming, it's the cops. So it kind of has a thing. And I know you guys have to constantly, be on guard for certain things. But I respect the police. I thank police for everything they do. When you really need them, no matter what happens, no matter where you believe in, that's the ones you got to call to come and help you. Besides the fire department, EMS, those are the three that are there usually anyway to help you out, assess the situation, and move forward.
Yeah, right. When looking at a career, I thought about firemen, but I don't like heights and I don't like heat, so I figured that's not for me. That was out. And then police officer, I figured, I get a car and a radio, so I'm never really going to have to run unless I choose to. So I figured this could work.
What about climbing? You got to climb up those ladders and bring people down. That's the hardest.
Yeah, as a fireman. Yeah, no, that's not me. I'm grounded. I don't like height at all. It might have to do with my size too, because a skinny person falls. Okay, I fall. There's a problem.
What if there's a lot of food up there? Would you go up there?
Even for that, I'll find a way to get it down. I'll send a drone up or something. There's technology now.
Tell them to hold that thing, right, where they throw things down, catch it that way.
That's it. Just throw it down. I'll catch that cannoli. I'm good. Go ahead.
So tell people how people can find you and contact you.
On Facebook, right through Facebook. My Facebook page really isn't a personal page. It's a comedy page. I didn't have one until comedy started. And so right as Larry DiGregorio, or through Funny4Funds, if you go to their website, I have my own page with a little bio. And I'm also on Instagram, again, Larry DiGregorio, because it's all about selling me. And I do have a Facebook page also, It Ain't Easy Comedy, because that's my tagline. It ain't easy, because it's not, being a fat guy, being married 28 years, having kids, just life in general. It ain't easy. It's not. Actually, on the back of my truck, I just got rid of, I have It Ain't Easy. It was an old truck, and I got a new truck, and I think I'm going to put It's Getting Easier. So those that know me can just laugh every time they see my truck in town.
You got to do like It Ain't Easy, do an intermission and come back. It's it still ain't easier, but keep going with it.
It's a little easier, maybe.
It's a little easier now. It's a little easier now. Let's keep going, till the end. So, if someone never met you, Larry, how would you describe yourself and what you do in like a good paragraph there, like a little elevator speech? So, try that.
As far as my whole life or comedy life?
Whatever you like, comedy life. You can combine it all.
Yeah, I guess the best way is, I'm a fun guy that likes to eat. Every police, it's funny too, you say that. I don't have an elevator speech, but every police academy, and I teach at the police academy still, they have a motto like, without heart and drive, you'll never survive. And I got one. It's not a good day unless buffet. And you have to look at what works for you. I love a good buffet. I think that would be my elevator speech. How you doing? I'm Larry DiGREGORIO. I love a good buffet. And
new tagline. There you go.
That's it.
Make some shirts with that, with the jackets on the back.
That's it. I'm actually thinking of, a lot of guys sell merch at the shows, merchandise. Yeah. I'm doing an adult coloring book, which if you like me talking, I do a bit about men and thongs. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. It's early, close to breakfast time. I hope I didn't ruin lunch for you. But it would be me holding a thong and some different adult pictures, because adult coloring is good. It's very, I do it. I can't lie. It's like very calming. You get, I don't know, maybe the inner child in me. I don't know what happens, but I stay in the lines too, which I couldn't do as a kid. So and my whole life I couldn't stay in the lines, but I do when I color. So it grounds me a little bit.
Wow. So Larry, final big question to you. What was it like being a guest on Casual Conversations? You could joke about it, whatever you like. Go ahead.
No, it's great. I'm telling people I'm in a training. I'm actually right now in training, in police training. And I said, I need a quiet office for 20 minutes. I'm doing a podcast. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, I'm being interviewed on this show, Casual Conversation with a Z. And they're like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. So like, if the instructor looks for me, just tell him I'm having a problem in the men's room or something. But it's been a blast. It's great. I really enjoy it. You're a gentleman and you're super easy to talk to.
Well, thank you. Casual, like it says, and my name being Kaz, I figure, you have to have like a hook, something. So there you go.
Yeah, my name starts with Dig, so there's never a good connotation with Dig. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I know. It's I go through, where do you get your material from, Larry? Like, do you like write little notes, like, because I find time like I'm doing something, speaking to a family member, and I get off on this different thing. I say, oh, this is great material. I should like start doing talking about different things like that, because life is the best source, I think, from comedy.
That's it. And that's what's funny. Every day I write something. There's something every day that I write a little note. And, being a cop, I carry a pen constantly. I have a pen in my pocket at any given time. And I'll come home sometimes and I'll be like an 8-year-old. There'll be things written on my hand. And my wife's like, what are you drawing, tattoos? I'm like, no, I didn't have paper and I didn't want to write on my shirt. So I wrote on my hand, whatever it would be. Lady took forever to get her money out at grocery store. Like she didn't know she was going to have to pay. And then I'm going to work that into, like, I love that. People go to a grocery store and you're behind them and they go, okay, it's $13. And then she's going to look, or he is going to look for their wallet. Well, you didn't know you were going to pay when you were on the line? That's the purpose.
Oh, I hate that.
There. Get it ready. Stage it.
I hate that they're counting, every single penny. It takes
it's
3 hours.
Be like $11. Have out of 20. Get prepared, but they don't. They don't. I don't. And so I write it down, and then I turn it into funny.
How do you remember the material? I mean, is there a trick you have to remembering how you're going to go? Do you practice it a few times before it just happens?
I gotta say, it just I put it into like different genres, like the doctor, like I do a doctor bit, and I do a men's magazine or men's website bit, and I just sometimes my boys are 27 and 24, and they've been to a dozen shows, and sometimes I'll be like, Dad, you were like all over the map tonight. It was great because there's no real formula, and as things pop in my head, I have issues like everybody. I just say it, and that's what's funny with comedy is I'm normally saying what the rest of the world's just thinking. Yeah. And because I used to say Jimmy Crack Corn. I don't care. It's all good. I'm going to say it if it's going to get a laugh. It's for the laugh. I say it all the time.
No, I think that's one of the things to kind of, uh, I guess like the fourth wall, they call it in the movies and things, but like sometimes I do other videos and I like to set things up and to the point like where I know what they will be thinking, you know, and then kind of turn and say, I bet you're wondering why I just did that, you know, and like because of the setup, they're like, how the heck did he know I was thinking that? You know, to make that happen. So there's a little psychology involved. You have to get into the people's heads and, you know, that research and all that stuff that you got to do. But it's been such a great time having you on this program, Casual Conversation. Listen to the podcast. So check out the video if you want to see how handsome the two of us look. And funny. And any final words there, Larry, before we go away on Casual Conversations?
Yeah, just, you know, the world is crazy and you have to laugh. Laughter is truly, it's a saying, it's a cliche, laughter is the best medicine. I truly think it is. It's so good the world's opening back up and people are back out and I can get out there and make people laugh on a regular basis other than my immediate family. My wife doesn't laugh anymore, but the rest of the family does. But it's great. That's all I'm going to say is laughter is wonderful. It's a great expression.
Oh, it is. Thank you very much. Laugh, everyone. Laugh and have fun and enjoy life as long as you can. Thank you very much, Larry. See you soon. Bye.